Alrighty, so starting back up with the Grimy Goons, which consists of Hunter, Paladin, and Warrior, we have Hunter to start with, and we're going to start with this 1 mana 1/1 beast called Alley Cat, which is adorable, and Battlecry, summon a 1/1 cat. So it's basically a 1 mana for 2/2 stats, which is pretty good. It's like really solid, especially in Hunter. I mean, Hunter's already playing Fiery Bat, which like the death rattle is, deal 1 damage to a random enemy, and this is a 1 mana 2/2, so it's just like a little bit better. Plus, it splits across 2 bodies, so it's really strong. And it's even better with the new Grimy Goons buffs, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But for a 1 mana 1/1 summon a 1/1, it's very good. It's going to be a 4-star. You're going to see this in aggressive Hunter lists, mid-range Hunter lists. It's just a solid 1-drop that's going to be played in most Hunter lists coming up after this expansion. So 4 stars. Next, we have some Smuggler's Crate. It's a 1 mana Hunter spell. Give a random beast in your hand +2/+2. Super situational card, right? Because you have to draw it at 1 mana for it to actually be good. So you have to play this on turn 1 for it to actually be good. Because you want to tempo out 2-drop. I mean, why aren't you just playing like a 1-drop minion to just get board presence now? Like, why aren't you just playing Alley Cat to give you that +2/+2 on the board like immediately? It just doesn't really warrant the aggressive strategy that Hunter's going for, because you actually just want to be proactive starting turn 1. And this is a little bit, it's a little bit strange. You're going for more of a combo, kind of like this Grimy Goons new mechanic, and it's just not quite good enough. So I'm going to give it a 4. Or I'm going to give it a 2-star. Sorry, I'm going to give it a 2-star. It's not quite a 1-star. Like, it's not garbage by any means, but we won't see it in that many Hunter decks. Few will try it out, but probably with not very much success. It's going to be about a 2-star for this. Alrighty. Next, we have a 3 mana 3/3 Shaky Zip Gunner. Death Rattle, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2. We're going to be talking a lot about this mechanic of giving minions in your hands buffs of like +1/+1, +2/+2. And yeah, this card's decent. I mean, in that sort of strategy, this card becomes a lot better. And with the new cards that Hunter receives, such as Rat Pack or Dispatch Kodo, buffing minions in your hand that are going to do something immediately on the board when they're played Battlecry, or their death rattle gets stronger. Like, if their mechanic gets stronger, then this card just gets better and better. So if we see this mechanic taking off with the 2 cards that I mentioned, Dispatch Kodo and Rat Pack, then Shaky Zip Gunner will absolutely be included. So in terms of that, it's a solid card. I mean, 3 mana 3/3, it's fine. It's not gonna, it's not gonna value trade with too much because it only has 3 health. But I'll give it a 3, a 3-star right now. It's definitely playable. It's definitely a possibility to put in your Hunter deck, but we're just gonna have to see what happens with the direction the Hunter takes. Maybe this really helps mid-range Hunter. Maybe it's not really that worth it, and you still just want to play like an Argent Horse Rider, or you're going to be playing Animal Companion on turn 3 a lot, or Eagle Hornbow. Will it warrant that 3 mana slot that's already so it's so competitive in mid-range Hunter? We'll just have to see. So 3 stars right now. Hidden Cache. 2 mana secret. After your opponent plays a minion, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2. It just doesn't really do anything. Like, sure, you could play this as a 4th secret in your secret Hunter list, but I really don't think this is going to do much for you. I think if you're going to go for this like buffing minions in your hand, like +2/+2 kind of strategy, +1/+1, whatever the Grimy Goons kind of mechanic is, this isn't going to be the way that you're going to do it. You're not going to just play out a 2 mana secret and then just like get the effect that a 2 mana card on the board could get you. It's just not proactive enough to be a Hunter card, and it's just not even good enough to even be in mid-range or control, because it just doesn't do enough. So you're definitely not going to see this card. It's a 1-star. It's just kind of useless, honestly. Kind of cool idea, but pretty useless right now for Hunter. So we'll have to see, though. But 1 star. Next is a Trog Beast Rager. It's a 2-mana 3/2 battle cry. Give a random beast in your hand +1/+1. So again, a lot of these synergies with minions in your hand, but this time it's a random beast. Also, very important to note is Trog Beast Rager is not a beast. So it will not synergize with Kill Command or Houndmaster. And this is a big deal. Hunter really needs to be playing a lot of beasts. Like if their deck is core, their deck's core cards are beasts. And we're seeing that a lot with the new cards like Rat Pack, Dispatch Kodo, and things like that, Alley Cat. But is this good enough? Maybe. It is very, very good if you have Dispatch Kodo in your hand, or if you have Rat Pack in your hand. Otherwise, it's fine. I mean, vanilla stats, it's pretty good. 2-mana 3/2, it's an aggressive strategy. You're still going to be punching your opponent in the face for 3, which is solid. But yeah, the fact that it's not beast makes it a little bit worse. So I'm going to give it a 3-star. I'm just not exactly sure how good these synergies are going to be until we see the power level, really, of Rat Pack and Dispatch Kodo. Those two cards are going to either define what the archetype is for Hunter, if it's going to go to this mid-range buff creatures in your hand kind of style, or if it's just going to stay the secret aggro build. We're not exactly sure. So I'm just going to safely give this a 3-star. 1 second. All right. Next, as I've been talking a lot about this card, this is a 4-mana 2/4 beast called Dispatch Kodo. Battlecry, deal damage equal to this minion's attack. Like we've been talking about in our previous videos, any minion or spell that does damage and puts something on the board is good, and it's worth looking at. Because it's just such a strong tempo play, and it can really swing games back in your favor. So, okay, let's take this at its base stats. It's a 4-mana 2/4, deal 2 damage, which is fine. I mean, it's reasonable. The 2/4 is a little underpowered. You'd really want to see this maybe being at least 3 attack for it to be competitive on the board, but the fact that it deals 2 damage kind of makes up for it. So you're kind of treating this a little bit differently than just a 2/4, right? So, but let's say this gets buffed twice by Trog Beast Ragers, for example. Yeah, this card just got really, really good because now you're playing a 4-mana 4/6, deal 4 damage, and that's just absurd. So if these strategies start to be kind of thrown into the metagame, and then you see these like hand buffing strategies for Hunter, this card will absolutely be played in all of them. So I'm going to say that it's a very good and core card to that deck. And honestly, I can pretty much see it being core in a lot of Hunter decks. I think it's an interesting way to get back on the board that we haven't seen before. A lot of Hunter decks now play Infested Wolf on turn 4, which is strong, but maybe we can see this also on a turn 4 play. But we'll just have to see where these battle cries go with giving random beasts in your hand +1/+1. So 4 stars for right now, though. Cool card. Also very interesting and cool card is the 3-mana 2/2 beast called Rat Pack. And the death rattle is summon a number of 1/1 rats equal to this minion's attack. This is just a ridiculous kind of sticky minion that if it's just buffed once, it's awesome. Because it's a 3-mana 3/3 then. Death rattle summon a 3/3. Spread over 1/1s, right? Is one way that you can treat it. And that's just really sticky. That's exactly what Hunter wants. And honestly, this card is strong even without a buff in its hand. So yeah, you're going to see this in every Hunter list from now on. It's a 4-star. It's very, very good. Is it meta defining? I don't think it's going to break the game by any means. So I don't think I would give it a 5-star, but it is very good. And it's going to be core to Hunter decks everywhere. So get ready for the smork, because this card is definitely going to be in the list that do that. So 4 stars. Here's the little cute rat with the jewel. It looks like a rupee. It's awesome. I love it. The artwork is amazing. Okay, this was the first, I'm pretty sure this was the first card that they actually released for the new set. 5-mana 2/4. weapon called Piranha Launcher, and after your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 Piranha. Sure. Okay. I mean, here's the problem though. Like, again, like we've talked about so much, this expansion is defined by 5 mana cards. 5 mana cards are definitely, that mana slot is the strongest, like, slot in the game and is the most competitive slot, in my opinion, starting after this expansion. Because we already have so many good 5-drops. I always come back to Azure Drake because Azure Drake is just, it's strong. It's just really good. And it's just like, it's meta defining in how many decks it's been played in and played successfully. Yeah, does this kill an Azure Drake? No. Does this kill, anything that we've seen released for 5 mana? No. Like, it's not proactive enough, and it's not even reactive. Like, you can react to like a small minion, and then what? You summon a 1/1. Like, congratulations, you just wasted a turn. Think about it like this: you just played a 5 mana 1/1 that dealt 2 damage. Battlecry deal 2 damage. No, that is not worth the cost that you're paying for it. So, gonna give it a 1 star. It's garbage. Definitely go dust that thing because it is not good. Here's the Piranha. Okay, and now we come to the last card in the Hunter set, the 5 mana legendary, Hunter legendary called Knuckles. It's a 5 mana 3/7 beast. After this attacks a minion, it also hits the enemy hero. Again, this 5 mana slot, very important. Is it good enough to be in a mid-range Hunter deck? Maybe. If buffing cards in your hand really seems to be like super important, it's a good card, because if you're getting value trades on the board while still smorking your opponent, and then your other minions can, smork the opponent, you can essentially start controlling the board while still dealing that face damage, to start getting into like burn lethal range and stuff like that, with kill command, quick shot, things like that. So controlling the board and still pushing your win condition is pretty cool, right? Because a lot of Hunters' win conditions are like, screw the board. Let's just go face because you have this awesome hero power, deal 2 damage. In terms of that, if it starts to fight for the board and it's been buffed before, because a 3/7, they're okay stats. The 3 attack's not going to deal with too much by 5 mana. So if it's buffed though, I mean, you get this to like a 4/8 or a 5/9. 5/9 would just be absurd. It'd be game breaking, because you control the board completely, doesn't die to that much. Like 9 health is very, 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 very good. And very stable, and you're going to get multiple attacks off. So if you're hitting your opponent for 5 damage and you killed 3 minions, it's crazy. But for just base raw stats, it's not great. So probably give this a 3-star. We have to see how good Trog Beast Rager actually is, how consistent that Grimy Goons effect really is for Hunter specifically, because you do run Eagle Horn Bow and Kill Command and Quick Shots, and that's not going to change. So you still have a lot more spells, and maybe it's not going to hit that as many minions as you'd like it to. So yeah, I'll give it a 3-star. So that is the Hunter class, and the next Grimy Goons class is the Paladin class, and super interesting what they've done with Paladin. Interested to see how it turns out. It's going to be very different from the way that we've seen Paladin work before, but let's start it out. So we have 1 mana 2/1 Murloc. Battlecry, give a random Murloc in your hand +1/+1. Would be good if it was give a random minion in your hand +1/+1, right? Because you're putting a 1 mana 2/1, which is pretty fine. It's good stats. We've seen, Leper Gnomes, Abusive Sergeants in the past, for these aggressive strategies, which Paladin is starting to push towards for its archetype. But yeah, it's a random Murloc, which the only viable Murloc deck is Anything Can Happen, or not Anything Can Happen. Yeah, Anything Can Happen. So they play very specific Murloc decks and have a specific play style. Do they really play this on turn 1? No, it's not going to matter, and it's going to screw up the Anything Can Happen combo at the end of the game, because it's going to resummon this, and then you're going to be like, wow, I can't do anything with this, right? So it's just not good enough. It's a 1-star because unless you're going to be playing a really aggressive Murloc deck, which, it's possible, It's not going to fit in with the meta that's currently set up with everything can or with anything can happen because it's just a stronger deck. I'd much rather play these control style anything can happen deck than an aggressive Murloc deck. And they didn't get enough Murlocs, or we didn't get enough Murlocs to start warranting a lot of like Murloc decks. So I don't think this is going to be in the meta. I'm going to give it a 1 star. Next, we have the Smuggler's Run, which is give all minions in your hand +1/+1. Quickly, I'm going to say that this is a 2-star card. I don't think it's garbage, but I think it is kind of bad because even though you are planning for multiple turns after you play this card, like if you want to buff up a turn 2, turn 3, turn, like fine, but you just missed your turn 1 you just missed turn 1 as an aggressive style list because you're playing Smuggler's Run. You're not going to be a controller mid-range list playing Smuggler's Run. You're playing aggressive list, but you just missed your 1-drop. And 1-drops are so important for aggressive lists to get off, for aggressive decks to get off the ground running, because then you can start buffing with Abusive Sergeants, and you can start buffing with spells from Paladin, like Blessing of Kings, and getting those like sticky kind of minions on the board turn 1, turn 2 is what usually snowballs the game. So if you're missing this turn to do something kind of weird with your hand, like it's not going to do that much. Getting the 1-drop is more important than playing this 1-drop spell. And not to mention, this is horrible if you top deck it, which you're probably going to be doing because you're an aggressive style. So if you don't draw this early, you're just going to top deck a 1 mana do nothing. So it's not very good. It's going to be a 2-star. 2-star out of 5. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe it'll hit, 4 minions. Crazy. But for the most part, it's not going to hit 4 minions. You're going to have to top deck it eventually. It's just not good enough. This, on the other hand, because it's a body, is very good. It's a 2-mana 1/1 Grime Street Outfitter. Battlecry, give all minions in their hand +1/+1. So same kind of idea, but you're still getting a minion out there. And that's so important for Paladin because if you're doing this aggressive style, you need to buff it. You need to trade up with it. You need to be doing these zoo type things to get to your win condition. And so getting the effect that helps your aggressive strategy, but you still get the minion on board is super important. This is a 4-star card. It's very good, and it is core to an aggressive Paladin kind of type archetype. So pretty excited for this card. I'm really interested to see where Aggro Paladin goes, and even maybe Aggro Secret Paladin. Return of Mysterious Challenger. We'll see. Speaking of Mysterious Challenger, we have a 1-mana secret. Getaway Kodo. When a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. Huh. Okay. So say you didn't draw this until your Mysterious Challenger turn. You play Mysterious Challenger, you have 5 secrets, 4 secrets, whatever, and they kill your Mysterious Challenger, which you're going to have to strategically do, because if you're playing Mysterious Challenger, you're going to have Noble Sacrifice, and then if you get Noble Sacrifice proc, Noble Sacrifice is just going to return to your hand. So this could be a very good card if played correctly, because you can't just like YOLO out a 1/1 while you have Getaway Kodo. You're going to have to start thinking strategically. So I don't think it fits in an aggressive Secret Paladin list, but if you strategically maybe put a 1 of Getaway Kodo and really know how to use the card in a secret type list, yeah, you could be very successful. I'm going to give it a 3-star. It is definitely playable. It has amazing synergies with, like, if you get Mysterious Challenger back, crazy. If you get Tyrion back, disgusting against most decks. So, it definitely has potential, but you have to be smart with it, and you have to build your deck a little bit more. You have to be more smart about your deck building. You can't just throw in secrets, throw in Mysterious Challenger, call it a day like we used to. This is going to be a little bit harder to make Mysterious Challenger work, but this could definitely be involved in it. Next, we have a 5-mana 4/4. It's called Grime Street Enforcer. At the end of your turn, give all minions in your hand +1/+1. Yeah. At first, I was like, this card's crazy. And a lot of people think it's crazy. Yeah, on turn 5, aren't you looking to draw more aggressive stuff? I feel like by this time you've gotten rid of so many cards in your hand that like really what minions are actually going to be in your hand to buff. It's not good in a control style list because it just doesn't really do anything for you. Like a 6/6 Tyrion is the same as a 7/7 Tyrion in a control style list. So those kind of big cards aren't really gonna need this like +1/+1 buff. It's 5 mana, so it's already pretty slow because you've already gotten out your 1-drops, your 2-drops, your 3-drops. Now you're just looking to draw cards. Because you want to just keep finishing them off with like this consistent damage. And this doesn't really do that. It adds a 4/4, but you're probably maybe gonna have what, 1 to 2 minions remaining in your hand, maybe. But yeah, it's just not good enough, especially because Divine Favor is a thing. You're gonna put Divine Favor in instead of this card. So I am gonna give this a 2-star because it's definitely bad. It's not garbage, but it is definitely way too situational and doesn't quite fit with an aggro archetype, even though most people think it might. I really don't think that's the case, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see where Aggro Paladin goes. Next card is a 7-mana 6/6 Grime Street Protector. It's a taunt and Battlecry. Give adjacent minions Divine Shield. This card is potentially broken in the right circumstances. Again, you have to be smart about these kind of mid-range control Paladin cards that are coming out. I think this could be definitely a good part of mid-range Paladin. Because, even Divine Shielding a 1/1 and maybe getting some sort of value trade is pretty good. I mean, it's fine. But, if you're getting like if you're playing, let's say, even the 4/4 Ivory Knight, and then you play this after, and you have a 4/4 with Divine Shield, that's pretty strong. And then you just added a 6/6 with Taunt, that's even stronger because then they have to deal with your Divine Shield taunt or Divine Shield 4/4 in a different way after they get through your taunt. So there's a lot of things that you're like, you basically play this card and you're like, okay, your turn. Like, opponent, it's your turn. Like, try to deal with this. There's a lot of interesting ways that this can be involved in some mid-range shaman archetypes, and I think it could be pretty good. I mean, you could also play, you could also have Tyrion on the board, draw this, and then trade with Tyrion and then get your Divine Shield back. So a lot of cool strategies that you can do with this card. It's really cool design. And I mean, I'm excited to play it. I'm skeptical because of it's 7-mana card. It's a little difficult to play correctly maybe at this point against a control list, but potentially it's game breaking. So I am going to say it's very good. It's a 4-star, but it's not core yet. You know what I mean? We have to kind of see where. I really hope mid-range Paladin makes a comeback, and this would definitely help it. But it is a very good card just by itself. So yeah, 4-star. Next, we have the Mean Street Marshal, 1-drop. Very good. Death Rattle. If this minion has 2 or more attack, draw a card. Okay. So 1 mana, 1/2. If you buff it with a Direwolf Alpha and it dies, you draw a card. If you buff it with an Abusive Sergeant, you draw a card. If you get a Blessing of Kings on it and it dies, you draw a card. So there's also these other potential ways to get your minion above 2 or more attack with the new Grimy Goons mechanic as well. So yeah, it's a strong card. I mean, it's not terrible to top deck. It's going to be that 1-drop card, that maybe could push Aggro Paladin back into the meta because, drawing a card is super important for aggro decks, and this is going to be pretty easy to buff. So I like it. It's going to be a 4-star. It's very good. It's definitely going to be core to Aggro Paladin. I'm excited to try it out. Next, we have a broken card. It is a meta-defining 5-star, 3-mana spell, small time recruits. Draw 3/1, cost minions from your deck. It's so good. It's honestly better than Divine Favor in so many different ways. Divine Favor sometimes won't even get value. You're playing against Zoo, and you both just get rid of your cards, and you're like, wow, I can't do anything. With this 3-mana card, it's just going to sit there dead in my hand, and my opponent's going to know what it is. It gives away, card advantage. It gives away knowledge of your hand. Like, there's so many risks with Divine Favor, but this is just not risky at all. And against aggressive strategies, it's so good. Like, getting your other 1-drops, like, if you play small time recruits you're literally drawing from your deck. So you're thinning your deck to get to these stronger drops, these stronger turns, these like Blessing of Kings, Leroy Jenkins, like aggressive card strategies. And you're thinning your deck and you're still playing cards, which you want to be playing in your deck. It's just insane. It's a 3-mana Nourish in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's just ridiculously good. I mean, it's just so good. I don't know what else to say. It's a 3-mana, draw 3 cards. I don't care if they're 1 cost. Like, I decided to put them in my deck for a reason, so I don't mind drawing 3 of them. It's insane. It's meta breaking. It's gonna push, it's gonna push this aggro paladin at least to tier 2. If not, maybe tier 1. If the meta is just like crazy fast and control decks have no idea what to do. Which I don't think will be the case. I think this is going to be a pretty balanced meta, but that's besides the point. But yeah, this card's broken. So put this in every aggro paladin list ever. It's 5-star. It's 5 out of 5. Lastly, we have the Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. It's a 3-mana 2/2 paladin legendary, and it's Divine Shield and Taunt, and damage dealt by this minion also heals your hero. I'm trying to think where I would play this. I think I would honestly play this in only a mid-range paladin if it came out. I'm gonna give it a 3-star. It's playable in that situation only. It's got taunt, so it's gonna probably 2-for-1 some aggressive lists. It's pretty annoying against a lot of control lists. So yeah. Is it going to be in a control paladin list? I don't think so. You're going to be wanting to play a more reliable heal. And you don't need the board advantage. You don't need the board early necessarily. But I think it's good enough for mid-range for sure. It's a cool card. Paladin doesn't have that many like proactive plays on turn 3 as a mid-range list. We lost Muster for Battle, so what? You have like Aldor Peacekeeper, which you'd rather just hero power, right? So, yeah, so this could maybe fit that kind of slot and push you towards a little bit of a better curve. So yeah, maybe maybe we'll see it in some mid-range paladin. I think it's playable. I think it's going to be a 3 out of 5 stars. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's going to be interesting to see in game. Artwork's amazing with this like hair getting caught on fire and like burning up. But it's a 3-star. Last but not least, for the classes, we have Warrior. I don't know what happened with Warrior. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have to change our mindset a little bit about what Warrior really is. Yeah, they got a couple control cards, but they're kind of awkward and clunky. They're 2 kind of combo cards. It's going to be interesting, but let's get into Warrior. So first of all, we have a 1-mana, I know a guy. It's so funny. Discover a Taunt minion. And it's good. This is a very good card. I think you're going to see it in Control Warrior. And that's pretty much it. The other classes, you don't really need a taunt minion because a lot of the other classes are going to be tempo aggro kind of style decks. You're not going to be playing this in Dragon Warrior because it's just like not going to synergize. But for Control Warrior, this is something to do on turn 1. And you could find something that helps you on turn 3, like a Fierce Monkey, or you could find something that helps you on turn 9 against turn 7 against like Shaman and Chilma. Like there's a lot of different things that you could do. It's pretty flexible. You don't mind kind of top decking this and finding a minion on turn 10 because you have so much mana to work with. I would play it in. I would play 2 in Control Warrior right now. I think it definitely helps you out. And you're going to be looking primarily for these 3 mana, 5 mana, kind of 7+ mana slots for taunts, but maybe we'll just have to see. I think it's good. I think it's core now for Control Warrior. It sounds interesting to say that about a 1-mana spell that doesn't really do much immediately, but I think it is very, very good in Control Warrior. So I'm pretty excited about the card. It's going to be a 4 out of 5 stars. Okay. It's bad. It's just bad. Yeah, there's nothing to it. It is a 1-star. Why? Like, okay, we have Shield Bearer, right? That is a 1 mana 0/4. No, yeah, it's a 1 mana 0/4. Yeah, we don't see that card. So why would I pay 1 more mana to have a 2 mana 0/7 when it actually really should be a 0/8 because the Shield Bearer is a 0/4 for 1 mana. So it's just horrible. It's a 1-star card, and yeah, not much more to say. Next, we have some more Grimy Goons synergy with a 4 mana 4/3 Grimy Gadgeteer. At the end of your turn, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2. Cool synergy. 3 health is worrisome, especially at 4 mana. You're not going to get a lot of value when a Frostbolt hits your face or a Fiery War Axe, hits this minion. 3 health is just not enough for a 4 mana card. But is it worth the effect? I don't think so. I really don't see this Grimy Goons Warrior working. Really, you're just going to be playing Pirate Warrior, and Pirate Warrior is just so much better and so much more aggressive. And this just, again, the effect just is not worth it to have this bad 4 mana 4/3 body. You want to be doing something proactive and hitting your face, hitting your opponent's face every turn. It's like the 5 mana 5/4 that we talked about a little earlier that buffs demons. It just doesn't do that much if you play it, for 4 mana. Like, it just isn't gonna do anything for you for your strategy to win. So it's just not good. It's not good in control. It's not good in aggro. It's gonna be a 1-star. No, I don't like it at all. Next, we have Stolen Goods, which is also a 1-star. Yeah, give a random taunt minion in your hand +3/+3. Okay, yeah, we know that Blizzard is trying to make Taunt Warrior happen, but yeah, it's not going to happen with Public Defender and Bolster. It's just like, it's too inconsistent. There's some cool synergies with Bolster, but Bolster is just way better than Stolen Goods. So play Bolster, not Stolen Goods, and Bolster is like a 2-star at best. So this is a 1-star. It's just not good. It's too situational. You have to have a taunt, and you have to draw this card. Like, there's too much that has to happen for this actually to be good. Plus, then you have to pay the mana to play the new card, so it's just not good. 1-star. Next, we have the 3 mana 3/3, the Grime Street Pawnbroker. And Battlecry, give a random weapon in your hand +1/+1. Interesting. Yeah, you're not going to play too many weapons, though. You're going to be playing what? In a kind of aggressive strategy. You're going to be playing Fiery War Axe and Arcanite Reaper. Yeah, I mean, those are 4 cards out of 30. Yeah, when this hits, it's pretty strong. But it's definitely not worth it to put in like a Pirate Warrior deck. You're going to be wanting to play that Bloodsail Cultist, which is the 3 mana 3/4 that buffs your weapon right away. So you get the weapon, and then you play this card, and then it's buffed, rather than, oh, you have to have the weapon first, and then I can buff it, right? In your hand first. So you have to have these 2 cards in your hand. So, it's just not quite there. It's a 2-star. We'll see some people experiment with it. It's not garbage. The stats are fine, but it's definitely, you're going to be wanting to play a different card in the strategy that you're going for if you want to be playing this card. So it's bad, but it's it's not terrible. So it's 2-star. Whoops. Next, we have Ali Armorsmith, which is a 5 mana 2/7 taunt. When this minion deals damage, gain that much armor. Such a cool addition to Control Warrior. I think 5 mana 2/7. 7 is a crazy stat. And I mean, you're essentially, treat this like the Wicker Flame Burn Bristle or whatever that deals damage, that heals every time you deal damage, right? It's like Lifelink, for example. This is very comparable to Lifelink in a lot of ways because you're gaining armor when you hit a minion, and you're essentially gaining life. And when that minion hits you, I mean, you're gaining life as well. So really, really strong. Not many spells deal with 7 health, so 7 health is a huge deal. If it was a 2/6, it would be very underwhelming, but the 2/7 is a huge deal. And it actually pushes it to a very good core card. We'll see it in Control Warrior. Definitely experimented in Control Warrior at least, but I think it is a 4-star card. Just because of the 7 health and the kind of life link that goes along with it. So pretty excited. Next we have Sleep with the Fishes. And Murloc is just trapped underwater. 2 mana warrior spell, deal 3 damage to all minions. Deal 3 damage to all damaged minions. Okay, so we've seen, a lot of people talk about Ravaging Ghoul and then Sleep with the Fishes, which is kind of this 5 mana Flame Strike, which it's not really because it's a 2-card combo, and 2-card combos are essentially harder to pull off and not just like 1 card. So it's more worth it to put a Flame Strike in rather than this 2-card combo for 5 mana, right? It's just like more reliable. This is way less reliable, and therefore that's the only synergy that I really see going on here. If we had something like Deathbite still, this card would be insane because you could set up your Deathbite and then have, time to kind of draw this and then, deal the 1 damage to all the minions and then deal 3 damage, which is more reliable than I think a Ravaging Ghoul in my opinion. But maybe. We'll see. It's a 2-star for me right now. I wouldn't put it in Control Warrior, and you definitely won't see it in any other archetype. So, yeah, I don't think many people will put this in Control Warrior. Like, it's just worse than Brawl. Like, for 5 mana, just play Brawl. It's way easier, way more reliable, and it's 1 card. So, 2-star. Next, we have Brass Knuckles, which are maybe the same Knuckles as Knuckles. I don't even know. They look very similar. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, they're very similar, but yeah, we've got the Warrior Brass Knuckles, and it's a 4 mana 2/3 after your hero attacks. Give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. Yeah, you're not going to be playing this in an aggressive style, and you're definitely not going to be playing this in control because you have so many spells to control the board, right? So it's just not good enough. I mean, it's again, like I was saying with the Piranha Launcher, you're going to have to be dealing with these 5 cost cards and these 4 cost cards that are coming out. 2 damage does not do it. 2 damage on a weapon is just not good at this cost. So I'm gonna give it a 1-star. We'll never see play. It's a cool card though. I like the art. But yeah, definitely not good enough for a constructed right now. Last but not least, we have Hobart Grapple Hammer, and it's a 2 mana 2/2 Battlecry. Give all weapons in your hand and deck +1 attack. Super interesting card. I think you're going to see it in all aggressive strategies, and I think you're going to see it almost maybe in control. It's not terrible to buff your minions, or to buff your weapons for later in the game and get a 2/2 on board for 2 mana. It's not terrible stats. It's pretty reliable. And you get this pretty cool battle cry. Aggressive strategies love this because, more face damage, right, with your weapon, and a lot of face damage, face damage for aggressive strategies is weapon damage. So, yeah, definitely going to be in all those aggressive strategies and could be in control strategies too. So I'm going to give it a very good, it's going to be core to Warrior, in my opinion, for a little while to come. And depending on, other Warrior weapons we get in the future, it could just stay in the meta for a while. It's a cool card, super cool design. I love the idea of giving weapons a buff rather than minions for the Grimy Goons, and I thought that was a cool take. And I think this is a cool Warrior legendary card. Very nice. Alrighty, so now we have the Grimy Goons tri-class cards, and interesting. All 3 are pretty interesting. So you can use these in either Paladin, Warrior, or Hunter. And the first one is a 3 mana 2/4, which is called the Grime Street Smuggler. Its battle cry is give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. So it just goes along with the strategy that we've already been talking about. Yeah, is it, good enough for 3-drop when you could just be playing the other 3-drops that were released, like Rat Pack and, what else was released? Like those other Grimy Goons cards. You might rather draw with the other, oh my gosh, can't even remember it. What's it called? Small time recruits. Maybe you'd rather draw. I just don't think it does enough for you on board unless it's also buffed beforehand. Maybe you could see something like the 2-mana 1/1 comes out, buffs all minions. Now you have a 3/5 for 3 mana. Then you like buff more minions. So if you start stacking the Grimy Goons mechanic, it gets insane. But the one time that it is inconsistent, you just played something below the curve, and now it's going to be a little tough building from there because you really want to snowball with these classes from now on. Like the Grimy Goons is literally all about snowballing. The Cabal is about reacting to these kind of snowballs with the potions and things like that, and the Jade Idols is fighting on board with just these insane late game turns, and trying to just survive until these like huge late game blowout turns. So yeah, if it fits in the aggressive strategy, and we need a 3-drop for these aggressive strategies to continue on, then this will be probably your 3-drop that maybe makes the cut. I think it's a 3-star. I think it's going to be definitely potentially in the Grimy Goons kind of lists. But we'll just have to see where it specifically fits. I don't think it'll fit in Hunter. I think there's too many good 3-drops. Maybe it fits in Paladin. I don't think it fits in Warrior because you're going to be playing Bloodsoul Cultist and other 3-drop cards. So maybe it fits in Paladin. That's the only place that I see it right now, but we'll have to see. So it's a 3-star just because it probably fits into one of the decks that it's made for. Next, we have the Grime Street Informant. Battle Cry, discover a Hunter, Paladin, or Warrior card. These discover a specific class card are really difficult to say because if it was 1 mana, always played. This would always be played. But 2 mana, yeah, you get a 1/1 body, and then you basically are paying another 1 mana. Let's say you're paying another 1 mana for the Discover card, which we talked a little bit about. These Discover cards at 1 mana, like I know a guy, Journey Below, they're good. They're very good. But you're discovering specific cards. These are all over the place, random Hunter, a random Paladin, and a random Warrior card. Maybe you get something incredible out of one of those 3 classes, but I think 50% of the time you're going to get useless stuff across the board for your specific deck, right? So, if you're Grime Street Informant and you're a Paladin, you discover a Hunter card. Okay, you discover, let's say, Kill Command. Sure, it's a little bit of burn, but what is it really going to do? You're going to be playing something else. Say you get your Paladin card and you discover, let's say you discover Solemn Vigil, which is not going to fit in your aggressive style, but maybe it fits in your control style. So, okay. And then Warrior, you get Shield Slam, which you don't have armor, so you're not going to use Shield Slam. So maybe it gives you a possibility of 2 choices to pick from. It will never, most likely, not give you 3 good cards to choose from because it ranges the whole class cards, and that's a big deal. So yeah, there's some bad Hunter cards, bad Paladin cards, bad Warrior cards. Maybe you have to pick through, the best of the worst in that situation. So in that case, maybe you play it in mid-range Paladin. Maybe you play it in control Paladin. Maybe. But right now, I think it's a 2-star. It could be a 3-star if we see it kind of happening in control Paladin, but that's the only place that I see it right now. Because Hunter, it's too slow, and Warrior, it's going to be too slow for what's happening. So, not quite. Last but not least, we have the final Grimy Goons legendary card, and it's Don Honcho. 7 mana, 5/6, incredible art. Battle Cry, give a random minion in your hand +5/5. Holy crap, this could change a lot of things, and it could make some crazy, like lethals happen. And like, yes, besides like not thinking about all those, this is just a pretty good card in general. You're going to be playing it in a lot of these Grimy Goon strategies, except for my guess is probably Hunter, and honestly, maybe just Paladin, because sometimes Paladin decks and these mid-range curve decks, they do somewhat start to curve into like the Tyrion and stuff like that, and maybe it helps with that curve. And then you just get a crazy Tyrion, like you just get an 11/11 Tyrion like on turn 8, and that's like the dream, right? So maybe it's a mid-range Paladin. It's not going to be seen in Warrior because it's too slow for an aggressive style warrior, and it's gonna do nothing for a control. And the hunter, it's also too slow. I mean, 7 mana, you want to be playing a 5-drop and hero powering, or playing two things and hitting face with bow. Like, it's just not quite proactive enough to warrant a spot maybe in hunter. It's a cool card. Like, at face value, this card is good. But I think it only fits in one of the archetypes, and that's going to be a mid-range paladin. And so I think it is going to be playable, but only because it fits in a possible archetype of paladin. And so I'm almost going to say that it's a 2-star, 2 to 3-star. I can't necessarily say what exactly it is, but I'm leaning towards 3-star because I think the effect is just going to change. I think it's going to open up a lot of possibilities for some random decks to happen, which is cool. But in terms of like overall power level for a strategy that we've started to see, I don't think it's gonna make the cut. But cool card, crazy buff, but we'll just have to see.